So next up is Brother Glen Ford, who's going to talk about Obama's wars as a continuation of Bush and previous U.S. imperialist policies. Here's Glen Ford, brothers and sisters. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru. You heard the title. That title was chosen very carefully. We'll say it again. Obama's wars as a continuation of Bush's previous U.S. imperialist policies. The first thing that I want to call attention to in the title is that it's designed to combat the confusion that is created through the usual propaganda mechanisms. The rulers only can continue to rule when the people are confused. So they choose their words very carefully in order to sow that confusion and to control the direction of the conversation. They don't want to talk about the continuity of America's constant wars against humanity, wars that stress almost seamlessly from one president to the next, from one rich man's political party, the Republicans, to the other, the Democrats. And that stretches seamlessly over generations. When we begin to recognize the continuity of an American foreign policy that is always in a state of aggressive war against numerous peoples around the globe simultaneously, when we begin to understand that this is normal behavior for the people who run the United States, then we will begin to see the outlines of a system. And that system, of course, is U.S. imperialism. Imperialism is constantly at war because its purpose is to dominate the planet so that the many can exploit the few. Those can be exploited by the few, those few being mainly located in New York and London. Since peoples around the planet constantly resist being dominated by these rich white men, imperialism must be constantly at war. War is imperialism's normal state of being. This is the great truth that must be hidden. Therefore, the very words U.S. imperialism are a kind of taboo not to be spoken in polite society in the United States. In fact, we even have so-called peace organizations that won't say the word U.S. imperialism. If you pretend, like they do, that there is no such thing as U.S. imperialism, then every war is a kind of property of a particular president. So we get people talking about Iraq and Afghanistan as George Bush's wars. Not the Democrat Bill Clinton's wars, although President Clinton mercilessly bombed Iraq into ruins and was responsible for the death of hundreds of thousands of Iraqis through the savage sanctions campaign and through destruction of Iraq's infrastructure before there was Bush's war. They don't talk about President Bush I, who turned on his and President Reagan's former ally, Saddam Hussein, and attacked him. And they don't talk about Eisenhower and Kennedy and the Nixon administration that used Saddam Hussein to kill Iraqi communists. The fact is that the British and the Americans have always been at war against the Iraqi people. But when we single out the latest installment of that constant war and call it Bush's war, we make it George Bush's property, not part of the continuity of U.S. imperial warfare. It becomes something that Barack Obama inherits from Bush, along with Afghanistan and Pakistan and Somalia. An inheritance that Obama can then claim that he did not want, that it was forced upon him, that he reluctantly inherited this thing. It's like Bush is the devil, and the devil is making Obama wage wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan and Somalia. And too many of our people actually believe that. They think that's true. They say, oh, Barack inherited those wars from Bush. He didn't start them. He just got them. What Barack Obama did was join and compete to become the leader of the system of U.S. imperialism. Obama didn't inherit anything. He fought hard to win the approval of Wall Street and the other moneyed classes to bankroll his candidacy so that he could represent them and their interests on the world stage. He didn't inherit that. He worked hard for it. The very concept of an inherited U.S. presidency is absurd. The presidency is purchased for the preferred candidate. Barack Obama was corporate America's candidate, especially Wall Street's candidate. Obama was supplied with $650 million. And only one out of every four of those dollars came from small contributors. Or rather, only one out of every four of the contributors were small contributors. Yeah. And that is the same ratio of large contributors to small contributors that George Bush racked up in 2004. The same character of contributions. Now, that is not an inheritance. Obama's ambition was to become the imperialist in chief. He did it because he is an imperialist. He sees the world the same way that other imperialists see the world. He endorses with his whole heart the imperial project of the United States, and he has pledged allegiance to that imperial project over and over again. Obama embraced the U.S. imperial legacy of constant warfare since World War II. He showed his imperial ass in front of the whole world at, of all places, the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony in Oslo, Norway, just last month. And this is what he said. Listen to this carefully. The United States of America has underwritten global security for over 6 decades, a time that, for all its problems, has seen walls come down, markets open up, billions lifted from poverty, unparalleled scientific progress, and advancing frontiers of human liberty. In that one sentence, he is endorsing the scores of U.S. wars over the past 60 years and the millions of people who have died because of those U.S. wars. Obama is endorsing a U.S.-led arms race that has consumed a huge portion of the planet's precious resources and which could have wiped out humanity and still could wipe out humanity. But he thinks that's a good thing. When he says that markets have been opened, he's celebrating the spread of global corporatization and the pauperization of the third world peasantry that has led to the creation of mega slums, vast shanty towns that now are home to hundreds of millions of people in Asia and Africa and Latin America. He is celebrating a global income gap that is far greater than at any time in the entire history of the world. When he bragged in Norway that the U.S. has underwritten global security for over 6 decades, Obama was telling the world that he is proud that the United States spends more on warfare than all the rest of the planet combined. And he has the gall to claim that if these $1 trillions of dollars are spent on something called global security, well, that's a good thing because I called it security and not war. As if America is defending the earth. Defending it against whom? Martians? The U.S. is defending the wealthy classes against the rest of the earthlings. He's maintaining the imperial project of securing the world's resources for the profit of the already rich, and he calls that global security.